I started off way back in the Reagan era, very young and impressionable, and thinking like if I had ever had $1 billion, I would donate it in order to buy an MX missile. So I was like totally a product of the communist age. And then I quickly spanned the spectrum from Republican, stayed there for just like 2 seconds, and then jumped right over to progressivism, liberalism, pacifism, and then jumped into anarchism, and that's what felt the best and seemed to work the best for me.
So when most people think of anarchists, they picture this. The anarchists at the Black Bear Bakery are more likely to be associated with this. But the novelty here wears off pretty quickly. Anarchists need jobs too. Where else are they going to work? Not here. Doubtful. And this would just be awkward. So they bake. And the bread is way too good for it to just be a gimmick.
Alright. I'd rather not. Is that okay? Okay. So I'm just baking off. These loaves are almost done. They're honey whole wheat. We bake them in pans, and sometimes the pan prevents them from baking all the way through. So sometimes it's good to throw it in for another couple minutes without the pan to firm up the sides. So, yeah.
My name is Bobby, and I'm making sugar syrup for a buttercream frosting. Well, I mean, we've been doing it for a long enough time that even though it's always sort of on the verge of of survival, that we have succeeded for over 10 years and put a lot of work and effort into doing this and doing a lot of the work ourselves. And
So why do they bake? In part, it's simply to show that they can.
People see how the news characterizes anarchists as throwing Molotov cocktails and fighting with the police, and then they see us and they just can barely understand it, like what is going on here. These other anarchists are running a really positive, respectable business that has an immense amount of respect in the community. A couple hundred people buy our bread every week, and it's made by a bunch of people that they know are anarchists. And we can see our politics on the walls here with this resistance art collection of all these political posters from around the world. You see a lot of anarchism just reactionary and kind of negative and critical, whereas we're always trying to put new ideas into practice. And a lot of people have responded by their growing interest in gardening, or we've also created a safe space for radical thoughts and radical ideas.
But I find myself asking the question, does the bakery exist for the benefit of the workers, or does it exist for the rest of the world? Is it about creating jobs in a setting with no bosses that uses profit sharing and collective decision making? Or is it about showing everyone else that this kind of place can exist and survive in the capitalist system? So is this a workers' utopia? Do people ever get tired of it or discouraged?
all the time. But it's just like, this isn't worth it. It's too much work for not enough reimbursement, or there's just a certain amount of emotional investment, I guess, is the main thing. I mean, there's financial too, but it's more about the emotional investment. Hold on a second. Oh, shit.
I needed a job, and I came back in town, and I had always heard of Black Bear. I'm an anarchist, and I'd had the bread, but I'd never even been by the place. I'm from North County, so I'm from a ways away. So anyway, I just came in and worked, and I never had any experience in baking or anything, so.
When I was going to school, like everybody was planning on going to like Ritz-Carlton to work and different hotels and stuff, and I wasn't interested in doing that. And I was really worried about what I was going to do and if I was going to be happy when I left. The way the employees treat each other, it's a really good environment. Their views and values, it's a good place to work.
It's just a different environment than if you were working like at another job where you had like a chain of command or whatever. It's kind of cool here that sometimes, it's real stressful sometimes and sometimes it doesn't work, but it's also cool when it does work and everybody works hard and like, you know, pushes forward that way also.
Like because the pay is so low, like people have to get another job, or maybe people are just students and they like look at this more as a project they want to support, and so like more like they're volunteering their time. So yeah, I mean it's all understandable reasons. For a few people, it's like maybe like harder to work here because it's not something they're used to, like the responsibility and stuff. But by and large, I think people float out of here because of the financial reason.
Okay, stop. We need to know. How much do the workers actually get paid? Let me answer the question that may have just occurred to you. Yes, everybody here would probably be making more money working at the bakery in a Walmart. I can't help wondering if this is really something sustainable, or if ultimately it's a kind of a hobby that could turn into a passing phase once the bills aren't getting paid. But on the other hand, maybe one of the most impressive things here is that so many people are willing to live in virtual poverty and still come to work every day and work hard for something they truly care about, in spite of the money.
So yeah, the money thing, it does kind of suck, or it does really suck, but I don't know. And I have friends that, you know, have let me stay on their couches and stuff when I like have been between apartments or whatever.
Right now, my life is fine. I mean, I can pay my bills. I have gas money. I have food. I mean, eventually, you know, once I get more bills and more responsibilities, I'm gonna have to, you know, get more income. But right now, I'm perfectly fine making $5 an hour. I mean,
really, there's a bit of an irony in the fact that in order to survive as an anarchist business, the bakers need to be just that, a business. And they need to compete, and they need to advertise, and they need to participate in all the workings of capitalism that they don't want to be a part of.
I've spent way too much time in the last 10 years thinking about how to sell bread, how to sell stuff. And I've also probably spent more time than I've wanted to, you know, working and picking up the slack here when things fall through. Today's May Day and we're here making bread, working on the workers' holiday.
The dough mixers at the bakery were built in the 1920s, but they've been repaired and refurbished, and they still satisfy the needs of the bakers here. As I look around, I wonder if there isn't something decidedly retro about the Black Bear. The building was constructed in 1907, and the bread recipes date to 1916. You could also probably argue that anarchism as a political philosophy had its greatest prominence 100 years ago, and even the wages here aren't always in line with the current cost of living. But what's impressive is the way the bakers have made all these things work for them. Nothing here feels antique. The reason the mixers are in use after more than 80 years is simple. They do the job well.